Hello, y'all. I am back again for another video. And this video is going to be about going over discussions with other people. Not everybody will be a narcissist, y'all. So just keep that in mind. Some of your most difficult relationships will be with other empathic people because they're empathic, but I would consider them more unaware. They may know they have empathy, but they may be unaware as to how to move in life and how to understand moving. So I'm going to go over a conversation that I had with a sister. And I'm just going to start out by saying this. She's one of the most beautiful and kind hearted sisters that you could ever meet in your life. And I met her when I was very, very young. She was actually the family member of someone else. However, she's one of the most smartest, brilliant, loving the Lord type sisters you could ever meet. Um, However, everyone will have flaws and things that they need to work on. So, this is the thing. I'm going to go off facts here, right? Um, what will happen is when someone's known you a very long time and they've seen you one way. However, there's a change, and the change is not for the bad. So, this will happen with a lot of prior domestic violence victims and also people that have went through like custody battles and things like that. So, I'm going to give you an example. And this is a real example. So, many years ago, and I've talked about this on other videos, but many years ago, I went through a hectic custody battle. I went to a judge and told the judge I need help. This man is name calling, he's getting aggressive, and I asked the judge for help. And I did not get the help. The judge actually declined the help. So hello, legend. Let me see. Let me try to read this right now, okay? Because I want to make sure I say hello to the commenters. Legendary dog afraid. Oh, Fark, hello to you. And then hello to Margin Bright One. Hello to you both. So thank you so much for the like. If y'all don't get out of this live, if you stay in the live, this live will be very helpful. You got to remember when I start my lives, I start out one way, but I branch off into things that I know will help you. Trust me, this will help you because this video will talk about the change and the things that the processes you go through. So years ago, I was in this custody dispute. And so I asked the judge, I said, it seems dangerous. It doesn't feel safe. Never look over someone. When someone says these words, they don't feel safe, believe them. Don't gaslight them. Don't doubt their intuition, especially in cases where they're saying it, where there's already been a violent trail. So, going back to this conversation with this particular sister, we didn't discuss this custody battle. However, she always says this. Okay, this is her statement. She says, I was quiet when I met her. This is her description of me: quiet, sweet, and kind. She considers me quiet, sweet, and a kind person. However, throughout the years, she's heard some things that show her I'm not always quiet. Okay. What about if I was always quiet? Would y'all come on this channel and hear me never talk? You come to this channel because you hear a person speaking, right? So it is not my destiny to be always quiet. I'm going to share some of my background. I'm actually on the Wall of Tolerance, which is the Civil Rights Rosa Parks wall in Alabama. The volunteer work and the community practices that I was involved with on some big, big dilemmas on the West Coast, my name is on that wall. Okay. Now, do you think my name got on the Rosa Parks wall, Alabama? My complete name being quiet. Okay. So, absolutely not. I had to speak for my name to be on there, right? So, I've been on TV. I've gone to public hearings to ask the mayor to invest over $6 million to rebuild community centers. And the result was he said yes. Just little old me, just speaking. I just opened my mouth and said, I'm here to ask if this community center can be rebuilt for the betterment of the community. The answer was yes. So, with that being said, I wasn't called here. I wasn't brought in this world to remain quiet. I've also raised my children alone. Okay, I've had to speak up for my children in courts of law, at doctors' offices to save their lives. These are things that I actively involve myself in. My youngest son just got out of that situation that he was in with the temporary incarceration. He had to speak up as well. It's not something that I teach my children, that they always got to be quiet. Remember that old saying, a closed mouth does not get fed. Okay. It's a closed mouth don't always get you justice as well. However, there will be times when you need to close your mouth. So the sister always says, I'm quiet, sweet, and kind. Okay, sweet. I went over this in another video. What does sweet mean? I came up with this myself. It means suddenly welcoming enormously evil tyrants. So sweet is a bad thing sometimes because you're attracting a lot of stuff that you don't need to be attracting. Okay, because everybody don't like your sweetness. They view you as prey. Like they're the predator and you're the prey. So the sister has never asked me this. She always states that I was quiet. She always states that I was sweet and kind, but she never said why. You know, Irene, when I met you that first time when we were basically kids, why were you so quiet? And these are the reasons, okay? I was so quiet because of this. I have a Scorpio nature. So a Scorpio nature, we're determining who you are. Okay, so I'm quiet because I'm observing and I'm listening. Okay. And I was in a troubled situation that I did not want to be in at the time. So for those of y'all that's coming in now, I'm stating the fact that the sisters never asked me why I was so quiet. Okay, so, and she probably just has never thought about it, right? I actually just thought about it as well today. When a person observes something about you, they don't have to say why, or they don't have to ask why. But if you're noticing something and you say it more than once, ask, why were you so quiet that day? So what I was doing was utilizing my Scorpio nature. It's in my nature. Observing, listening. I was troubled. I had low self-esteem. Okay. And low confidence. And I wasn't necessarily always that way. By the time this sister met me, James had passed away. So I could say maybe when James was living, I think I had more confidence and more self-esteem, a healthy level of it. And I think that when James died, I was a little bit more sadder and shut down. Okay. When I speak, I'm happy. Okay. Too much quietness, some of that can be extreme. So I also was enjoying the moment. So I was quiet because I was enjoying her company. Okay. I was also quiet because I was being very respectful. Okay. That's part of a Scorpio nature. We're quiet because we want to be respectful and we want to get to know you without being rude. Okay. So I was quiet at that time when I first met the sister because I'm not a rude person by nature. And through these basic reasons of being quiet, one meaning that I was observing her, I determined that this lady is one of the most beautiful ladies and sisters you could ever meet in your life. And I still to this day have that same opinion. Okay. However, let's move forward. She mentions about knowledge and wisdom. Okay. And I have a lot of that. That's why I was quiet. A person that's filled with knowledge and wisdom knows when to be quiet. Okay. So there's a time to be quiet and there's a time to speak. So, with that being said, she makes this comment to me and she says, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you were just quiet again, and just kind of go back to that girl? So my response was, I said, oh no, I can't go back to that girl. She's gone, ma'am. She's part of the past. But actually, check this out. The oxymoron to this is she's actually not part of the past. The quiet girl is very much there because the conflict and the discussion and little debate that we had is over my silence. Now, she claims that she liked my silence, it in so many words, right? However, the current debate is over her noticing my silence. And this is a situation I'm being silent in. It's a situation where I do not have custody. I do not have legal custody over children that are in another state, that are my relatives. I do not have any rights legally. Well, I could go to court and pursue my rights. There are rights, but I'm not pursuing the rights legally. And that's because I'm okay with the kids being where they're at. They're in a good financial situation. And as of right now, I don't see much harm in the kids being out of state in the situation that they're in. Now, I talked about this on other videos. When I entered the situation, there was a funeral I went to. And when I entered into the situation, I did ask to speak to the kids. Okay. And so when I asked to speak to the kids, the man that has custody of the kids and his woman, I was met with violence through the phone. There was 2 threats made to me. The man that has the kids said, when I come in town, I better get out of town quick or something gonna happen to me. So he gave me a passive aggressive threat. Okay. Then when I got back in town on the West Coast after going to the funeral, his lady, through me asking to speak with the children, the lady that he's with threatened to bash my head in, call me all kind of crazy bitches. I did not respond with any violence or anything like that. I just stated, hey, I was just in town. I like in-person threats. That's all I said. See, when you say too much in violent situations, that triggers more violence. See, people not scared of people that's, bitch, I'ma bash your motherfucking head in, bitch. This is how she talking. You crazy ass bitch. I'ma bash your motherfucking head in, bitch. Take care of the motherfucking kids, bitch. Nobody's afraid of her. Now, I do understand that because she's that way and because I am who I am, I understand that that situation will escalate. Okay? So I am. I'm being quiet. That girl is still here because this sister notices I'm not contacting the people. I was also told if I continue to make contact, I would be met with a anti-harassment or a restraining order. This is what I was told. Now, the sister called me selfish, okay, because of the fact I'm not continuing the contact. And I went over this in other videos. Your no contact, when you are dealing with highly narcissistic people and potential psychopaths, it is not selfish. So if you are mainly concerned about safety and stuff like that, it is not selfish to not be in contact and not to be making contact. It's smart. So remember, I've gone over some things. I said in the beginning, I'm on the wall of tolerance in Alabama, Rosa Parks Civil Rights Wall at the museum in Alabama. My name is there. So my name didn't get there through me actively engaging in violence, right? Because Rosa Parks believed in nonviolence, okay? And so when the sister says she wants the quiet person to come back, well, the quiet person is there. That's why when you ask me, have I called the kids? And also she knows that there's threats of violence that have been made upon me. However, in her mind, she does not probably believe that they'll act it out. And that makes her very naive to domestic violence. Now, this is not my first rodeo, y'all. When I was dealing with the custody battle decades and decades ago, I went to a judge. I asked the judge, I said, please help me. I don't feel safe. When I meet with this gentleman to exchange our daughters, he's violent, he's name calling, he's threatening to beat my ass. Help me. This was a low down Black judge. She's deceased now. May she rest in peace. And it was something that my mother guaranteed me too. My mother was a bishop, and she guaranteed me that I would outlive that lady. My mother was alive. She had not passed away yet when I was going through this battle. So my mother told me, she said, you will outlive them all. This was her spiritual guarantee to me. That's a dirty-hearted judge, and you will outlive them all. Right now, today, that judge is rest in peace. She died of an illness. Stomach pain, y'all. She died of a severe intestinal stomach pain. Kind of similar to maybe the stomach pain I had when I left up out of that court. A stomach ache I still to this day can't explain that came in my body, okay? So when this sister says knowledge and wisdom, I have it. So, of course, I'm putting these kids first. So when I go to court, she says, well, if you don't take the kids to their father, you're going to be in contempt of court. I don't want to be in contempt of court because I'm putting the children first. Stay here for a moment so you can hear what happened. So the judge did agree. She said, well, y'all can meet at the grocery store. That's a public place. I said, Your Honor, that's not good enough. I'm not safe. Whether I'm at the house with them, exchanging the girls, or whether I'm at the grocery store. Your Honor, I'm asking you for a court-appointed mediator. Those were free at that time. Because we were in superior court, a court-appointed mediator was offered free of charge through family court services. The judge refused. This judge that is now passed away, may she rest in peace, she refused. Okay? So here I am to fend for myself in this parking lot, there to exchange my daughters. And this animal calls me out of my name, charges out of his car on me. This is what this animal does to me. Lo and behold, the Lord is good. I say, this the day he gonna kill me today. I'm on this concrete. I'm not gonna be able to whoop this man over 6'2" or whatever his height is, over 200 pounds. I'm a little bitty short girl. So this is how to judge a Black woman, y'all. This is how she puts my very life in danger, okay? So, lo and behold, guess who in jail? Me. I spend my very first time in jail for a weekend. I had an arraignment hearing, was there many hours. The legal system said, this particular lawyer you got, every woman that comes in this arraignment that has this guy, we have to keep him in jail. Remember, the sister talks about quietness, right? I told that lawyer, I said, you can go. You fired. This judge up here is saying that if you represent me, I'm not coming up out this jail. You're fired, sir. I don't need your representation. Because he didn't come visit me while I was in there over the weekend, defending my very life. And he wants me to apologize for the beating I gave this animal that could have potentially took my life. I said, no, I don't want to go that route. I want to tell why it happened. I don't need to say it didn't happen. The judge needs to know the circumstances of what went on. So the bottom line is, I just this year, dealing with my son Daniel, had to speak again in court to help my baby son, my baby boy. This sister says I'm selfish. I don't live a selfish life. Every day I'm helping somebody, whether it be Daniel, my firstborn son, someone in the community, giving a donation. I'm far from selfish. However, that's a compliment. When people state something about you, stop getting so upset about it. Selfish means you are looking out for yourself and showing an inconsideration to others. And in some circumstances, that's what you need to do. Because if you don't do it that way, you're going to revisit history. So here I am once again, dealing with some children. This is decades and decades later, some children that I was interested in talking to, visiting, and building a relationship with. Here's another narcissist or psychopath and his lady threatening me. But the beauty of this situation is, for one, these are not my biological children. They're someone else's children. They're another relative's children. So I'm not going to be in any contempt of court. Two, these children are out of state. Sometimes you got to learn to mind your business. This sister, she also may not understand that I have very, very powerful advisors. Very, very powerful advisors that have worked in my best interest since I've been a child. I asked my brother, I said, what should I do? My brother in St. Louis, I told him the situation. He said, well, Irene, the dude sounds like he's out of his mind, and the lady. And if you don't plan on taking custody of the children, you may want to stay up out that situation. My brother's a wise man filled with knowledge. He lives in St. Louis, Missouri right now. He has a wife and a son. Very, very wise man. Since the time I've been a child, my brother has saved me over and over through advice. So, see, what the sister doesn't understand is I'm not someone without knowledge and wisdom. It goes against the Scorpio nature. Scorpio nature, this is something you're born into. You're born into knowledge and wisdom. I'm usually the person other people have to come to get sound advice. So I'm not without knowledge and wisdom. However, it's a struggle when the sister, she's used to a certain dynamic. So she also pointed out that one relative, which was female, of course, or a lady, this relative used to vent to her because I was calling this particular relative bitches and stuff. I said, yes, I did. But I started calling her bitches because she wouldn't stop calling me one. See, quiet, sweet, and kind people, they're not really punks. You being quiet and humble and all of that, that don't make you a punk. It doesn't. Actually, you're interesting to get to know. So see, if she really sit back and think about the situation, I am being quiet. But see, this is the thing. The sister has a good heart. And in her mind, she mentioned several years ago, that she doesn't like the word narcissist. I love the word narcissist because it is a description of someone that does not lack empathy for you. And it is a word that means danger is ahead. The first time I ever heard the word narcissist was when I was in that court of law in that arraignment hearing. When the legal officials told me that what I was interacting with on the day that I was attacked at that grocery store, that's probably a narcissist. At the time, I didn't know what that word meant. And I still went decades and decades without knowing the meaning of it. But what they were saying is this guy that called the police on you, this same man that used to black your eye and assault you and emotionally and mentally abuse you whenever he feels like it, he doesn't want you to defend yourself. He has no empathy for you. Okay, so that was the first time I ever heard the word. Now, this particular sister that I love so much, she doesn't like that word. I use that word on this channel. So she's the one without wisdom because she's not using the word. But this is the problem with empathic people, y'all. She's an empath, so she, in her in a delusion. She wants me to be around these family members and she wishes it could all work out into one big happy family. But when you are interacting with highly narcissistic people that have no empathy, it will not work out that way. It will work out just like I told you the first rodeo. It's going to work out in serious injury, death, and emotional and ongoing emotional abuse. So the sister, she said, have you been calling the kids? No. You don't have to beg to talk to some kids, y'all. If you do that and they've already threatened you, it's a revolving cycle. It's a revolving cycle. If you don't want to be an abuse victim and you don't want the kids to be an abuse victim, this is what bothered me. When that lady threatened to bash my head in and call me all kind of crazy bitches, you know, the children are at her home. So I feel like this. If I'm not making the contact, the children don't have to hear me being threatened. See, when you're contacting someone and they're triggered off just because you ask a question or you're making contact, your contact with that family is now unhealthy. It's not saying I'm a bad person, but if I'm triggering people just by asking to talk to the kids, I was polite. No one can come back to this sister and say that I was not polite. But the thing is, it's just like when she said with the one relative that I would call bitches. I said, yes, and I did. But she wouldn't stop calling me bitches. So eventually she got called back a bitch. Now, do you see the pattern in this behavior? So that means that I have a personality type. See, this sister also that I love so much, she hasn't met my other relatives. Okay. She doesn't know a lot of my relatives to understand how we roll. And we're all quiet, sweet, and kind. That's our nature. But when someone is triggering a war towards us, whether it be a psychological warfare or a physical warfare, we will handle that. Okay. So the smart thing to do, because I'm showing her quietness, she's just not noticing it enough. I am showing her quietness. That's why in this situation, she just knows the lady called me crazy bitches and said she'll bash my head in, but report that I've called the lady that. So isn't that quietness? There's no report that I'm doing it to the lady. And that's because I'm not calling their phone. You don't want to do that to anybody. You don't want to contact them. Do what they said do. So the comments here. Let me see. Marique. Laura Sales 3710. What is happening? Yeah, this video is about quietness, results, consequences, and things like that. And so hello to you. What's happening? Watch this video from the beginning to end. And then thank you so much for the comment. And then also hello to Tony Thompson 7127. Thank you so much. So see, to her, she doesn't understand narcissism in the complete way that I do. That's why she says she doesn't like the word. She also doesn't believe what people show her. The conversation I had with her over the phone ended like this. I told her this. I said, stop minimizing any threats that are made towards me. Stop minimizing it. She said, what? What you say? I'm going to repeat it one more time for you, sis. Stop minimizing or making small any threats of domestic violence and harm towards me. But this is her philosophy. I'm selfish because the kids are involved. I went down this rodeo dealing with a custody battle years ago. The kids were first then too. But see, this is the thing that I promise you. These kids are not going to get you out of jail. These kids cannot get you out of a gravesite, and be very leery of people that have a lot of empathy for the kids, but don't have any for the adults. This is why be leery of them. Be leery of them because of this. They're not evil. They're extremely naive. They're extremely naive as to the serious consequences that could come out of it. So this is the thing. Another thing, when you're viewed as quiet-natured and stuff like that, it kind of throws people off when you don't comply. They're kind of taken off their feet a little bit. So the sister mentions as well, the dad, or basically the relative that has custody of these particular children. He wants me to come in town to visit more. He wants me to do it that way before he allows the kids to come to the West Coast to visit. So what that is it's red tape that's involved. He's like he's kind of acting in some sense, and it's his right to do it. He has a right to do it because he has custody of those kids. So he's kind of providing some red tape. The appearance of it can appear like it's a protection for the kids, but actually what it is part of parental alienation or relative alienation. And it's a way to give the other parent or relative, because I'm not these kids' parent, okay? It's a way to give the other relatives a hard time. But someone that's very naive, looking at it from the outside, they will look at it like, well, he's protecting the kids. Well, if he was protecting the kids so much, he wouldn't be a functional alcoholic, right? So what I'm not going to do is let some drunk put a bunch of red tape on me like I need to be supervised with the children. My silent thoughts and my private thoughts are get your motherfucking ass off alcohol. You get your ass off alcohol, man. You supervise your own visits. And the reason I don't have to comply is because I'm not in a court order and I don't have custody of the kids. So I don't have to comply. So part of what's kind of taking the sister at all is she's explaining to me that this is what he's requesting, but there's a constant notice of me rejecting what he's requesting. And this is why I don't give a fuck about what a narcissist is requesting. Because for one, it's a form of future faking. He wants me to come in to town, stay at a hotel, visit the kids. Okay, but this is the thing. I already came in town. In 2023, I came in town. He told me before I came in town, he was not going to allow me to visit with the kids. He didn't let them come out to eat with me and my family and my sons. He has no empathy for my sons that are their relatives as well. No one in my family that came into town was able to spend any time with these children. Okay. And so I already did that. So, but this is the thing. Narcissists do not plan their manipulations. He didn't plan it. He just told me you can't see the kids. But he didn't think, well, if I don't let her see the kids, she might not return. It doesn't sound like it was fully his wish for me not to return. I'm not a dumbass, okay? So I already went there. I asked to see the kids. He said no. See, in these kind of situations, my mother used to say this. My mother used to tell me this. She used to say, Irene, when you get mad, they're not really dealing with a Negro or a Black person anymore. They're dealing with an Italian. My mother used to say that all the time. It's something else popping up out of your genes. My mother considered Italians some passive aggressive gangsters. My mother, when she's saying Italian, she mean a mindset as well. Like Italians don't fuck around. They mean what they say. They're strict. They have a standard. They don't mess around. That's what my mom meant. And I'm going to say it one more time since someone just came in here. My mom used to say, when you get mad or there's something going on, They're not dealing with a Negro no more. They're dealing with an Italian. So I'm going to start right there. My mom meant an Italian as a mindset and an acknowledgement of other bloodlines as well. So I would agree with it. So an Italian, you go watch The Godfather. I agree with those principles. I just don't agree with how they selling drugs all over the place. But in The Godfather, he says, I only ask one time. Just one time when my request is not honored. So see, Italians, we ain't begging niggas for shit. That's not an Italian mindset. It's not a good mindset. If you're black or a Negro, you better become an Italian real quick so people are not screwing you over. So I already went to that state and asked to see these children. The narcissist already played a game with me. He could have me coming into the state once a year and never bring the kids to the hotel. A person will actually do you like that. I'm not returning there. However, I stated to the sister, if the kids are allowed to come out, they're welcomed here on the West Coast. But I'm not returning to that situation because I already tried it and it didn't work out. Okay? So I'm very knowledgeable and experienced when it comes to domestic violence outcomes and disputes and dangerous and unsafe situations. That's why my name is on the Rosa Parks wall in Alabama. That's how my name got there. Okay. So does this sister know that my name is there? No, she doesn't know that because she's too busy asking me, am I reaching out for the violent situation? Now, when you stick to your guns and you stick to what you believe, in the long haul and in the long run, that sister will respect me and so will other people. People respect people that make sound decisions because at the end of the day, the sister is no longer hearing that I'm cussing people out and calling people bitches. But whether she realizes it or not, she's not doing it intentionally. She's baiting me back in a situation that will lead to that. See, this lady that threatened to bash my head in and call me all kind of crazy bitches, I don't want to call her a bitch back. So the way to do that is to be in a no contact. The way to not get your head bashed in is to not interact and not go in the physical presence of the person. Because considering my background, it's highly likely that my head will not be bashed in, or I could think I'm too tough and get myself in that situation and get my head bashed in. Avoid these situations at all costs. As you grow and as you break the cycle and the curse of domestic violence, you will be called selfish. But nobody calls you selfish Nobody will call you selfish when you are actively engaging in these situations. That's when you're really being selfish. When you're being baited in and you're naive and you have no understanding of the future in domestic violence, that's when you are truly being selfish. Because for one, the most selfishness comes when you don't have understanding. And when you acting like an Italian, not a nigga can be anybody, y'all, a white person too. When you're acting like an Italian, you have a standard, okay? And your standard, in my case, is not walking into violent situations. Remember, I talked about that custody battle. The kids came first. And what happened? I ended up in a situation that could have cost me my life and my freedom. Either person could have died. I will never again put myself in a dangerous situation like that. And there's no real report that these children are in any danger in the state that they're in. These children have plenty of money. They have plenty support. And another thing, this sister, oftentimes she believes that Satan breaks up families and things like that. It's all the devil. It's not true. The Lord breaks up families too. And the reason the Lord does it is because he has another blessing for you in store. He has another project he wants you working on. And he knows that the people that he's separating you from are not in your best interest. The sister said that she felt like in a lot of ways, I've been very protected from elements of the situation. That's strategic. What she's not noticing is that I know I'm being protected. That's why I got out of town. When I left out of town, I was not just fleeing my grandmother, I'm fleeing him too. I packed up my baby and took myself and my baby out of state. So that's removing me from the situation with the gentleman as well. The same gentleman, many, many decades later, that's telling me that I better get out of town or something gonna happen, and that has his friend threatening me. The female friend threatening to bash my head in, calling me all kind of crazy bitches. I can't be a hypocrite on my own channel. I cannot be on this channel teaching about no contact, talking about narcissism, and I'm consistently calling some niggas, asking to speak with some kids like I'm not the Italian. Remember, I told you what my mom used to say. They're not dealing with a Negro anymore. They're dealing with an Italian, which means the Italian has some good sense, right? See, when they started threatening me and I wasn't threatening them, this is how the Italian mindset thinks, right? This is how the Italian mindset thinks. I think, wow, these are some real fucking stupos. These are fucking clowns I'm talking to. I just politely asked to speak to the children. The Italian is thinking, it's no way I'm gonna let some low-class niggas like this get me in a horrible situation. Because the Italian, we don't view you being high class based on how much money you got. That's just part of that can contribute to you being high class. The Italian mindset, we view you by your family morals. Family morals. What are your morals? So that's the thing when this sister tries to get an understanding of the way I think and what I'm not complying with. Italians, the Italian mindset, we don't need to comply to this nigga. Who is he? This is how the Italian mindset thinks, like, what about this nigga is in control of me? The Italian mindset, we don't respect niggas like that. This man had zero empathy for me. Now, the end of last year, he called me and apologized. He doesn't really say for what. He complimented me. He was being a gentleman and he apologized. But the Italian mindset knows that he has the incapability to stop doing it permanently. It's an intelligent mindset. See, I know people and I know that man. When I was a teenager and I was at my grandmother's restaurant, and this is something that I didn't talk to the sister about, but when I was upstairs in the dining room of the restaurant, and this was after my daughter was born, him and I had got into it. We had a dispute, and he spit at me. The spit didn't land, but it took several people and family members that was around to kind of get me back under control. I had never been spit at. Like I said, the spit didn't land. That's why he's still decades later making threats and now getting other people to make them. So there's I have been protected from the situation because I'm not in the state in St. Louis, Missouri anymore. And I did not go to the state that he lives at. Now, this particular sister, she asked me, had I thought about moving there to the state that they're in? For what? So that the threats can actually come true? See, not only do I have an Italian mindset sometimes, like I said, it's like a figure of speech. My mom used to say, now you thinking like an Italian. It's like a figure of speech. But also, I am not off my rockers and not logical. There's history here. Now, also what I'm doing is salvaging the relationship. So this gentleman, he apologized to me last year, but he's not guaranteeing me anything that he won't do anymore. There's no guarantee that he's gonna secure my safety. Outside of someone holding my child saying they're gonna chop their feet off. Now, if somebody holding my child say that they're gonna chop their feet off and they calling me the B word or calling me bitches, then I'll be quiet. But I'm not supposed to be involved in domestic violence. That's another thing the sister doesn't understand. There's a lot of other mandates, and there's professional wishes and recommendations and suggestions for me that I will follow. And it's written on a treatment plan that I not be involved with violent people. It is recommended on a treatment plan when I was in therapy. Basically, you a good lady, stay away from abusers for their sake as well, not just for my sake. I am going to follow those recommendations and suggestions. I'm not going to go against a whole psychiatrist and psychologist that's told me to stay away from abuse, to protect my mind. I'm not going to go against that logic and professional help to run after some kids and chase some kids. The sister may wish it'd be different, but remember, she doesn't like the word narcissist. So since she does not like that word, she will lack the knowledge and wisdom and basic understanding and intellectual understanding that I have to stay away from these people. I'm in a good place. I'm in a good place because the sister, this is a spiritual sister that loves the Lord. She's going to continue to hear that I'm not saying anything. So when she asks me, when is the quiet girl going to come back? She's still here. She's contradicting herself. The quiet girl ain't went nowhere. The sister has empathy. She didn't like to hear, me calling people bitches back and stuff like that. The sister understands when she said, well, you used to call that person bitches and stuff like that before they died. Yeah, because she couldn't stop calling me one. But the best thing to do for your reputation, you got a reputation to uphold as well, is for the sister and other people to know that the lady is calling me bitches and stuff, and I'm not replying to it. No contact always gets you the respect you deserve. The sister said to me, and she's very naive. She said, because in her mind, these people have somehow convinced her that somehow I deserve to be treated that way. So she said to me, she said, well, you deserve it. I said, oh, no, I don't. I don't deserve it. No, I sure don't. Not when I'm not threatening violence towards anyone. I do not deserve for anyone to be threatening me with violence and trying to gain control of me in any manner through threatening me with violence. I don't deserve that when I'm not behaving that way. She couldn't say anything back. She was met with silence. And that's why it's good to just not react in violence and go no contact. It spares your reputation. Because when you react, they always remember it because the other people vent to them. Like she said, the deceased person would say, I was calling her the B word and stuff. And she would say that the deceased person would vent to her. But I should have been went no contact. You don't want those kind of relationships, okay? So with that being said, you want to just spare your reputation in these matters and just get on a better road. And you don't have to. The thing with complying with narcissists, see, she doesn't like the word narcissist. She said that several years ago. However, when I'm interacting with these people from this particular state, they're not in St. Louis, Missouri anymore. They're in another state. That's what I'm interacting with. And I already know that those outcomes are very toxic, not just for me, those children as well too, and the narcissist. Because this is the thing, narcissists ain't really sitting back planning to kill you. They don't even understand that it's going to come to that. They really don't. Sometimes they believe their own apologies. This gentleman might believe, well, I'm not going to hurt Irene. But I need to understand from a more experienced standpoint that I can very well be hurt. I'm going to end this video on this final note. Do not put children first over your safety. And you do not have custody of these children. The only children that you're supposed to put first over your own safety is the children that you have custody of, that you have the power and control over, that are in your home. When you do not have custody of the children and you have not been given visitation rights and you are not allowed visitation rights, those children do not come first. You do. In certain situations, it is okay to be selfish because you do come first. Nobody's going to get you out of a jail. Half the time, these children that you fighting for, whether you fighting for custody, you fighting for them to be able to see them, much of the time, these same children will not care anything about you later. And this is where the Lord is not always the one that's punishing you. The Lord is not punishing you. I mean, let me clarify this again. It's not always Satan taking this off your hand. It is a blessing from the Lord. But the sister, she still believes that it's some sort of curse. It's some sort of Satan's doing it. No. Me being removed and continuing to free myself from all of these violent situations, that is a gift from the Lord. The children don't need to hear these people threatening me. The children deserve better. The narcissist deserves better. I involve myself with people that welcome me. A consistent welcoming spirit. When you think like an Italian, it's kind of like this. They shouldn't have never threatened me. When you think like an Italian, you don't be threatened and then you make contact. It goes like this. Never threaten me in the first place. Welcome me. Then I come forward and I embrace you and you embrace me. The Italian mindset. Don't ever threaten someone that has an Italian mindset. I never threatened this man. Ever in his life. Don't threaten a person with an Italian mindset, because what's going to happen is you're going to think you're dealing with a nigga, which I'm not a nigga, and this person is going to never interact with you again. It's called consequences. I got to go because Daniel, hold on. Daniel, I think I'm being ignored, y'all. Daniel.
Yes.
I'm ready. So I gotta go, y'all, because this is the priority here. And I don't want to be selfish. And this young man's not threatening me.
Yes.
He's smiling.
I said,
and
I ain't threatening you yet.
He said he's not threatening me yet. So me and Daniel joke around a lot. So the thing, he said joke. So the thing is, y'all, this. Avoid the name calling. You know, this is something that unaware empaths do, is when she said I was selfish. It's okay. That's a compliment. Remember, I talked about this on another video. A lot of things people say to y'all, don't try to change it. She says I'm selfish. I'm putting me first. But I'm not being selfish because I'm keeping Daniel out of danger as well. What if I go down there with these nutcases that's threatening me and my baby boy gets shot or harmed? See, the narcissist isn't even planning that. You got to think ahead of the narcissist, because the narcissist intellectually, they don't have the brain or the mindset of, like my mom say, of the Italians. Okay. So this man told me this many, many years, this older white man, when I was at work, he said, you got to protect the criminal from themselves. And what he was talking about the thefts that would happen when the criminals and thieves would break in the cars. And the older gentleman said, he was a senior citizen, very handsome senior citizen, white man. And he said, I protect the thieves and the criminals from themselves. I lock my door This is how he stated it. He said he locks his car door, so he's protecting the criminal from their own self. So basically, he's saying because he locks his car door, he's making it harder for them to break in, so the criminal doesn't get themselves in trouble. I'll never forget the way he explained that. So when you're in a no contact, when you're dealing with threats from narcissists, when it has to do with custody and visits of the kids, you have to go through legal representation. That's it. And outside of that, there's no other way to do it for everyone to be safe, y'all. You got to do it the safe way. Please like, share, and subscribe, y'all. You can't stay quiet forever. You need your mouth to speak. Daniel's running out of patience, y'all. Daniel wants help with these clothes, y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to the Advanced Insight channel. Tune in for more. Remember to share the video. Thank you so much for the likes. Let me check the comments one more time. Hello to everyone, and thank you for leaving the comments. Tony Thompson, 7127. Maurice, Laurel Sales, 3710. Hello, BP. ADI21. Thank you so much for the hello. K Glaze, G5R. Let me see. K Glaze dash G5 I5I. Hello to you. Hello to Rain Meeks. And then hello again to Legendary Dog, Afraid, DD Fork. Hello. I love these YouTube names. They're so interesting. And then hello to Margin Bright One. Hello once again. Tune in for more right here with the Advanced Insight channel. I love y'all more. My son is very impatient, so I gotta go, y'all. Bye, y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Share the video. Take some notes. You got to be selfish to protect you, y'all. Your selfishness protects these children as well and these narcissists because it's logic, not emotions. Daniel said they about to close, so I got to go, y'all.